Solve 3x squared minus 12x plus 27 equals 0 by completing the square. Now remember that the formula for completing the square is x squared plus bx, and we need to add some value, which is b divided by 2 squared, onto the end of that to make it a perfect square trinomial. And you can factor it down to x plus whatever b divided by 2 is, and squaring that. Now you need to notice that when we completed the square, this a value is always equal to 1. A is always equal to 1. Now if you look at the given problem, a is not 1, it's 3. So we need to get rid of that 3. And to do that, we just divide every term by that value. And hopefully it's divisible by that number. If it's not, you're going to get some fractions. It can still be done by completing the square, but it may be more trouble than it's worth. But in this case, we're lucky. Everything is divisible by 3. So 3 divided by 3 gives you 1x squared, which is what we need in order to complete the square. Negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4x. 27 divided by 3 is 9, equals 0. Next, we want to complete the square. Now remember, when you complete the square, we just need these first two terms, the x squared minus the 4x. So I want to get rid of this plus 9 by moving it out of the way and moving it to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 9 from each side. That gives me x squared minus 4x. I'm going to leave a space, equals, and then 0 minus 9 is negative 9. And then I've got to figure out, what do I add to this to make it a perfect square trinomial? So what do I put in this blank? And you can also maybe get in the habit of saying that I'm going to add something to the left side. I also have to add the same value to the right side. My b in this case is negative 4. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to divide it by 2. So that gives me negative 2. And then I'm going to square that whole thing. So negative 2 squared is a positive 4. I'm going to add 4 to each side. That gives me a perfect square on the left, so I'm going to factor it. And our rule says that it factors to this, x plus b over 2. So x plus my b, which is negative 4 divided by 2, is negative 2. So instead of having a plus there, I'm going to change that to x minus 2 squared equals, and then I'm going to go negative 9 plus 4 is a negative 5. And now I have an equation that I should be able to solve pretty easily. So I'm going to get rid of this square. I'm going to take the square root. So that gives me x minus 2 equals the square root of negative 5. We can leave that alone for now, but I'm also going to put the plus or minus in front. And then I'm going to take my minus 2 and move it over by adding 2. So let's go up here. That gives you x equals 2 plus or minus the square root of negative 5. And remember, we don't want to leave it at square root of negative 5. We want to simplify that if possible. And the only way to simplify it is to take care of that negative, and we know that's going to give me an I. And then I'm left with square root of 5, which can't be simplified. So my x-intercepts will be 2 plus I root 5. And 2 minus I root 5. We have solved by completing the square.